We've made some amazing progress and had some tremendous growth. One of the things I say whenever I talk about who I am, I say, hey, I'm educating, I'm empowering, and I'm encouraging you to take charge of your healthy life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. That's right. And so today we're talking about how do we take our success to the next level. The amazing growth that we've had is great, is tremendous, but success doesn't mean, hey, we've gotten here and we kind of relax. It means that we're not asking the question of, can I do it? But we're asking the question about what next. And hey, I'm glad that you're here with me. This is Dr. Dwain Woode for another episode of my 100-day walk to consistency and health. We are on day number 86. Let's go ahead and get started. Whenever you show up, every time you show up, every time you push through, you are creating a better version of yourself, a more consistent version of yourself, and you are saying, I am doing what it takes to make myself successful. Let's go ahead. Let's get started. I'll see you on the walk. So by now you've developed some habits, you've got some routines, you've proven to yourself that you can be consistent. You've proven to yourself that you can show up, and you've proven to yourself that you are interested in success and interested in your health, or whatever the goal is that you've had as you began this whole process. And so the question now becomes, what's next? Right? So it's easy to say, hey, I've arrived, I've reached that goal. Remember, limitless living is not about us getting to a particular place. It's about us creating the rhythm. Remember that idea, the rhythm, alignment, and structure? It's about us creating a rhythm for who we are and a rhythm for what we are all about and a vision of the person that we want to be. And so as we talk about the keystone principles, they are the bedrock for us changing our mindset, for us changing how we behave, changing our view, changing the lens through which we see things. That is the bedrock. But ultimately, the question then is, how do we apply that, and how do we help ourselves be set up for long-term success? So we're not talking about success for today or tomorrow, next week, or even next year. We're talking about how do we maintain success for the rest of our lives. We are really changing the person that we are. We are growing into a better person, not just somebody who has better habits, but the fundamental person that we are. Those habits really are a reflection of the growth that we've had. And so as we move down the road, down the path of limitless living, we are uncovering, we are changing, we are throwing back all of the things that may cause us issues, cause us problems. One of my favorite things to do is whenever I'm talking to someone about their struggles with weight or metabolism or blood sugars or diabetes, they're always focused on a particular food. And I ask them, I say, what's your food of choice? What's your sweet? What's your go-to thing? When you're in that moment when you feel like life is against you and you think you're alone, what's the thing you go to? And invariably they have, chocolate, or, oh, there are these particular types of candies, or, oh, there's this particular dish. And the question then becomes, when was the first time you had that? And how has it become this thing that you go to? How has it become your friend? How has it become the thing that comforts you? And as we talk about that, what we're doing is we're uncovering their connection. Remember, the connection. When we add emotions, and when we add that connection, then those memories are strong and they're sometimes hard to break. But limitless living says that that's something that if that's causing us a problem, if it's causing our weight issue, if it's causing our metabolic issue, then that's something that we've got to address. And so let's assume that you've had a tremendous benefit. You've grown and you're saving money, and financially you're good. You remember the domains of health? You're physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, intellectually, occupationally. So all those domains. Let's assume that you've done all the domains. And the only thing that you seem to struggle with right now is with your weight. Guess what? You've achieved the other things in the other domains, but weight is still an issue. So now we've got to attack that. So it's not that I've arrived at a place. It is, okay, I've gotten here, but what's the next thing? What's the next part of my growth that I've got to now look at and say, okay, how do I work on that? So limitless living says that we're going to the next level, right? It's not an option. It's not, okay, if I want to. It is implicit in the whole concept that I'm not allowing anything from outside me or inside me to prevent me from going where I need to be successful. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, and my best plans for my life to be successful. That's limitless living. And so as we are continuing our 100-day walk to consistency, the next thing we've got to say, okay, we've developed all these habits. We've grown. Our mindset has changed. What's the next level? So we're going to the next level. So why is leveling up the next step in the journey? Why is it the next step? It's the next step because when we don't level up, we have that risk of getting comfortable and slipping back. If we're not moving, if we're not growing, if we're not learning, if we're not expanding, then old habits can creep in. We become comfortable, we become set, and even if we don't creep back, we don't have expansion. We don't have enhancement of our growth. One of the things that you heard me say, and we came up with that right here, right, is that our growth, our success shrinks to the level of our vision. It shrinks to the level of our vision. And that what that means is that if we're not growing, let's say we've expanded beyond the limits that we are currently constrained by. We've gone beyond that. And we're now outside of what we thought we could possibly do. Well, what's next? Because if we keep our vision right there, then our growth stops right there. But we continue to learn, we continue to expand. One of the things that I'm in the process of doing right now is working on my thinking, right? Thinking about thinking is what someone told me recently. And I'm excited, not just about the personal enhancement, but I'm excited because if I can improve my thinking, then my thinking gets better. And if my thinking gets better, then my ability to visualize gets better. If my ability to visualize gets better, then my concepts improve, they grow, they expand, and I ultimately become a better person. So I am always excited about the growth that happens when our brain and our mind expand. So we don't want to become comfortable. We don't want to get to a goal and say, okay, we're good here and settle into the comfort without realizing that we can actually move further. So we can grow further. So when you have reached what you thought was your potential, guess what? There's more. Because we said it's unlimited, limitless. Right? That's why I love that word, limitless. So whatever you can imagine right now, there's more beyond that. And that is taking it to the level. Progress isn't about reaching a point, it's about raising the bar. So when we've gotten to that point, let's move it up. It's kind of like, what's the limbo, right? When you think you've gone as low as you can go, they put it down a little bit more. When you think you've gone lower than that, they put it down a little more. When you think you go lower than that, they put it down a little more. And it's all like pole vaulting, right? So you think that you have gone as high as you can go. Well, let's push it a little bit more. If you think, and one of the points somebody made to me recently is that the best pianist, the best musician, they still practice. Why do they practice? They're the best. They still practice because if they don't practice, then they can set themselves up for difficulty, and they can get into the space where they are not moving, they're not doing the things that they've got to do. And so that itself causes them for lots of problems. The key thought here is sustained growth happens when you stop asking, can I do it? And you start asking, what's next, right? So there's a book called the question behind the question. And the question behind the question is not the why, it's the how. Not why did I get here, not why is this happening, not why me, but how can I move from this space? How do I move from the space where I am now, whatever the issue is, whatever the problem is, the question is, how do I do it? So we're trying to find solutions. We're not trying to figure out why it is. And that is a beautiful space. That is a beautiful space to be in. So we're not asking, can I do it? Because we already know we can. We've built a better version of ourselves, a more confident version of ourselves, a more self-sufficient version of ourselves. And now we've moved beyond the simple surface question when we're doing that deep, 7 layers deep. We've moved behind the very first one. And we are now talking about what else do we do? What else do we do? And where else do we go? So here are some shifts to take our success to the next level. Here's some shifts we're going to do. We're going to shift from maintenance to mastery. From maintenance to mastery. Now, one of the things that I hear, and we use it, and I use it as well, I say the same things. Whenever we have someone who is working on their weight, we'll talk about the initial phase, the structure, the basics. We'll talk about them getting down to their goal weight. And then we talk about how now we're going to maintain that. We're going to maintain it. In other words, we're going to try not to drop below this. We're not going to try to put up some weight. We're not going to try to, right? We just want to be here. And while that is a great concept, and we shoot for that, we shoot for not dropping back into where we were. We shoot to continue the 100-day walk. We shoot to continue the thought process and the goal setting and all of those. We shoot for it. And we shoot for not getting back to the old habits. But how about becoming the master of that? Right? How about becoming a master journaler? How about becoming a master walker? How about becoming a master thought leader? How about becoming the master, whatever field, whatever thing you're shooting for? Why not become the master of it? So we're not talking about just holding, right? So that is a very tenuous position to be in, where I just want to maintain. It's kind of like doing tug of war, right? You got some folks on one side, some folks on the other side, and they're pulling in opposite directions, right? And they're equally matched. And at any moment, something can happen that pulls them from one side to the other. We don't want to be in that position. What we want to do is we want that rope to come on to our side, because we want to be masters of that game. We want to be the winner. We don't just want to hold the status quo. One of my, and I keep telling you guys I'm a sci-fi, but there's this episode of Star Trek, the old one. And I've seen all of them for I don't know how many times I've seen all the episodes of all the series in Star Trek, except the new ones. I haven't seen the new ones yet. I've watched a couple of episodes, but so the old one, this is Captain Kirk, and there's this episode where there is this entity, is what they call it, but basically it's someone from another dimension who realized that there were several dimensions, and there was a version of himself in all the dimensions. And he went crazy because he wanted to be the only one. And so he's hopping from place to place. And what he's doing is he's trying to destroy all the copies of himself in all the other universes. And there's this point where they've captured him, and there's the choice to make. And the choice is, because they don't know how to destroy him. But if they can capture him and keep him in between these different universes, then he's there forever. And so somebody has to be there with him. And the hero, if you will, of the show decides that he's going to go in there. And so Kirk says to him, well, that means you're going to be trapped in there for eternity. And the answer is yes. And that's what it's like to be maintaining. You're trapped. I'm pausing. There is virtue to get there. There's a trip to get there, but we don't want to stay there. We don't want it to be so tenuous. We want it to be that we are mastering this. So ask yourself, how can I refine the habits further? I'm getting up and I'm walking, but how can I refine this? How can I make this better? I'm rowing, I'm swimming, I am whatever it is that you're doing, but how can you make it better? That's our question. How do I go to the next level? Right? We're avoiding complications, right? And I want you to listen to the words I say. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, which is good, and go to the next level. That's 2, and create the life we've always wanted. You see that progression? So we avoid the complications. That's great. Come on. I'm not having a heart attack. My blood sugars are better. My weight's gone down. How do I take it to the next level, which is what we're talking right now? And once I've gotten to the next level, is that the life I've wanted? Ooh. See? You see? Oh, you thought those were just words. No, they're not just words. All right? The other question that you want to ask is, what would excel me? What would propel me further? And what does excellence look like in this area? So one of the things I've been working on, and you guys know that I've struggled with weight for a while, for a long time. And so, and you heard me, my body is my advertisement. So I've lost weight, yay. My blood sugars are better, great. My A1C is down, good. You know, people ask me, oh, what did you do? So I tell them what I'm doing. But my question to myself is, what's next? Now, this is not a, okay, you need to lose more weight question. And I'm not like, well, how do I stay here? That's not the question. The question for me is, how do I make my body better? How do I make this process? How do I become a master of this process? So whatever it is that you've done, I'm excited. I'm applauding you. Come on, give you some streamers, give you some balloons, give you some noisemakers. Let's let the rockets go off and the stars will twinkle and the birds will come out and sing and you've got a band. Everything, all of that, because what you've done is amazing. And I think I've not said it these last several episodes, but you are sufficient, just like you are. I'm gonna say that. You're sufficient. Are there things we can improve? Of course. But just like you are right now, you're sufficient. One of the episodes I did in my show recently was called How to Trust Your Body Again. How to trust your body. Because a lot of us have a negative image of our body. And we have a negative relationship with our body. Because we think the body has lied to us, it's not doing what we want it to do. And I'm not gonna go through all that, watch that episode. But what do we do next? What's the next level? What for me, I'm looking to see, okay, what is the next thing I'm gonna do? What's my next level when it comes to weight loss and health? But we'll talk more about that. If you've built a habit of walking on a daily basis, now, right, what's the next goal? What's the next goal? Is it a performance goal now? So I walk, and we've been walking 30 minutes, depending on the day and depending on the topic. We've been walking for 30 minutes. And we've been doing roughly, if we kept walking for an hour, we would do like a 20-minute mile is essentially what it is. So that's 3 miles an hour. So now that we have the consistency of walking, do you now set a performance goal to say, okay, we've been doing 20-minute miles, so let me do a 15-minute mile. If you do a 15-minute mile, guess what? That's 4 miles in an hour. You see that? So what we've done is we've taken that same thing and we've taken it now to the next level. If you use that same example, instead of saying, okay, I normally walk a mile, let me walk a mile and a half, is a performance goal. If you lost weight, okay, now let me get toned. Okay? Let me get stronger. Let me get more flexible. What's the next level? That's the question you're asking yourself. So let's go from maintenance now. Let's go to mastery. Let's become the master of what we've done. The next thing is you want to go from goals to systems. So, right, we're talking about the shifts that we need to make. One of the things that I have realized, and this, I share stuff on my channel and my path and my goals there. But when I started my YouTube channel, I was doing goals. I had a goal for the shows. I had a goal for how many shows I was going to do. I had a goal for this. I had a goal for that. What I realized, though, and that was successful, by the way, right? That was good. But what I realized is what I needed were systems. So as I evolved, then I started saying, okay, what are some systems that I could do? So New Year, New You was a system. The Art of Letting Go was a system. Building a better version of ourselves was a system. Limitless living is a system. So now that we've gone from, now that we're not mastering, we're not maintaining, we're mastering, what are some systems that we can put in place that will take us where we need to go? All right? Because systems are now putting into practice the things that you've done, and they're helping you now not spend your time figuring out what to do, how to do it. You've already figured that out. Let's put that in place now that you can take your energies and put it in other places. Now that you can explore, you can look at nuances of the things you're doing. So now, if you've been bodybuilding, okay, now instead of just, okay, I've got these weights, now what are some exercises I can do that I can target specific places? I want to get bigger biceps or quads or I want to work on my abs, whatever it is. Now I've got the system, I'm getting up, I've got the time, I'm doing it. I'm spending 30 minutes a day. I'm going to the gym. Now let's refine it. Let's target some specific places. Now that you've saved some money, right? You've got that money in the bank account and you've got that emergency fund. Now what else can we do? Now let's attack some other things. You got that? Now that your blood sugars are better, and I'm gonna turn around here. Now that the blood sugars are better, my A1C is better, do I need to now look at my cholesterol, my fatty liver? So you've worked on one thing. Let's put some systems in place that help us automate those things so that we can spend energy and time doing other things. So goals get you started, but systems keep you going. Goals are great because they are, okay, I gotta get there, I gotta get there, I gotta move here, I gotta move over here. All that is important. All that's great, it's terrific because it gets you going, but the systems that you put in place will keep things going, keep you moving. Right? It's a matter of starting, yes, goals, but then now the systems keep this process going and keeps us consistent. So create routines, create environments that make success possible and make success easier and make success inevitable. Now that you know it works, don't think about it every single time. You're exercising. Get a system. Okay, I get up, I come in at night, and I pack my bag for the gym. Boom, done. System. So that it's not, okay, every morning, okay, well, let me go get this, let me go get that. You've been saving some money. Great. Automate it now so that you don't have to think about it every month. You're eating better. Balanced bites. Automate the process. Order the food. Well, right? So that you can be there. So instead of just aiming for eating healthy, build a meal planning system that helps you track how long, how good, how much. Make it a game. One of the games I play is with my, I think I've mentioned that I use a particular scale. And a lot of the scales, I use this one, I promote it. I have no affiliation with those folks, but I love it because it gives me all the data that I need. And I play a game with myself. And the game that I play is, how can I, not looking at the weight, but how can I get all the numbers out of the red? And when they're out of the red, now how do I get them out of the amber or whatever yellow color, right? And then now that they're out of the yellow, I want to get them as many as possible into the, I think the next color is like a probably purplish. And then once I get them there, how do I get them into the green, right? Make it a game, gamify it. Set that system up so that it is inevitable that you're going to be successful. And then go from growth to impact. In the last several days, we've been talking about how we pass things on. Yeah, you've grown and you have achieved some stuff, but now what's the impact that you have? Personal growth is powerful, but when you begin to serve other people, teaching other people about what you do. One of my goals this year is to take limitless living on the road. So you may see some things say limitless living on the go, right? So I'm learning, I've grown, I've changed, and now I'm like, okay, how do I get other people to also walk this path with me? How do I teach them what's going on with me? How do I teach them what I've done? Amazing. So we're going from the fact that we've grown, so we're going to creating some impact in our lives and the impact in the lives of the people around me. So we want to ask ourselves, how can I share what I've learned? How can I share what I've learned? And find some people to share it with. All right, we'll come to our challenge here in a minute. So who can I help by showing up with excellence? There are some folks, I work at our church in the media department, and I was excited because I was there. I was giving back to the church, and then I thought, hey, when we leave, when we pass on, when we go away, who's going to do this stuff? And so I grabbed a group of four young people, and I said, come on, we're going to teach you how to run the broadcast. And they have become phenomenal. I think they're ready now at the point where we can actually just put them in the booth by themselves and say, okay, this is what's going to happen today, and they can run it. Boom. I love that. There was a time, this was probably about 6 months ago, and something happened on the broadcast. I'm not even remembering, and myself and the person who's over our media section, our online media, I think we were off talking somewhere, and we saw it on the screen, and we came in, and we're like, oh, we need to do something. And one of the team members, one of the young people said, oh, we've already corrected it. We didn't have to tell them. As a matter of fact, the way they corrected it was not the way I would have done it. But they had learned and they had figured out what to do. I guess this is another point to be made. There are times with them, and as my son is growing as well, that I want him to do something a particular way. And I'm like, no, do it this way, do it this way. And then he's like, well, Daddy, let's do it this way. And he does it, and it works. So that's that whole idea of flexibility. But anyway, that's another. Go back and watch our episode from yesterday, okay? All right, so yes. So you want to ask, who can I help? Who can I help by showing up with excellence? So when you show up, when you do your thing, when you're excellent, then people around you see that and they want to aspire to excellence as well. So it's not just that you have become who you are, but it influences the people around you to also become to also become excellent. So how do we stretch ourselves without burning out? Ooh, because that's a good one, right? It's one thing to say I'm going to expand beyond where I am, but how do I do that without creating a problem for myself? Because if I burn out, then the potential for me to like just fall back into bad habits, old habits, is high. So number one, you want to add new challenges one at a time. Sometimes we get there and we're like, man, I'm gonna do this and this and this and this and this and this, and we just pile on because now we're confident. And we just add so much that we then begin having issues with burnout and fatigue, and that sets us up for difficulty. So if you're going to do something, add it one at a time. Don't try to overhaul everything at one time. You're going to do one thing at a time. Layer your growth. Do I need to work on my physical, my emotional, my spiritual? That's why the limitless living inventory is so important, because it allows you to take an inventory of where you are, and then you can outline, okay, this is my plan. This is my plan of attack. I'm gonna do this first, and then move to this, and then that, and then the other thing, just one thing at a time. If you have mastered walking daily, then go ahead and add strength training once a week. Don't add strength training and, well, all the other things that you could possibly, I can go through a whole list, right? So one thing at a time is what you want to do. So the day is getting cooler, but it's a good day. It's good light still. I wanted to make sure I came out and do this before it got much later. All right. Look for feedback and reflect on a regular basis. Feedback, and notice I say feedback, not just criticism. You're not looking for somebody to just criticize you. You're looking for somebody who's going to give you honest, open feedback. But it is feedback because it's done in a way to help you develop and help you enhance. So look for feedback. Look for it regularly. Whenever I do a talk, I ask, well, I've started, I ask the participants to fill out a survey. And the survey is, how was the talk? What would you have added? What should we spend more time on? Right? Because I want to know, how do I enhance what I do? How do I improve it? How do I make it better, more relevant to the people that I'm talking to? So look for feedback. So as you're going through your journey, ask for honest feedback from the people around you. Yep. That's why mentorship and support groups and all of that community is very, very important. So growth thrives on reflection and refinement. Ooh, you hear that? Refinement and reflection. Refinement and reflection. Growth thrives on that. So once a week is what we've been saying. Once a week, say, what did I do well and what can I improve? What did I do well? What can I improve? You're sitting down with your journal. You're looking back over the week, over all the keystone things that you've done, the systems that you have in place, the growth that you've had. All right, so we're talking about how do we go to the next level? How do we go to the next level? And then keep your vision alive. You've got to sometimes nurture that thing. You got to water it. You got to give it sunlight. You got to expose it. You got to share it. You got to love it. Resist the tendency to just have it written somewhere in a drawer, because that's not doing you any good. So revisit and expand your long-term vision. Always be doing something with it, right? Make it front and center. And then you don't want to rise to your goals. You want to rise to the systems that you've put in place, that you've built, and rise to the vision that you have. Right? The goals, SMART goals, those are great, but that's not the end. Those are just the means to get to that vision. So we want to always be expanding the vision, growing the vision, making the vision bigger so that we could see more and go more and work for more And when I say work for more, I'm not talking about you going on the job and all of that. I'm talking about more in your personal development. How do you do that? We're always looking for a space to be in where that is better, where it's more expansive, where we're continuing to grow. So, to the next level, that's what we're shooting for. We're not staying where we are. We've come here, we have the systems, or we have the goals in place. Now we're putting some systems in place and we're shifting our mindset. Well, we can't ever go, I can't ever stop without doing our challenge. So go ahead and grab your journal and let's go ahead and we're going to write down, right? So number one, we're leveling up our journey. We're leveling up our journey. We're going to a different place. We're going to the next level. Well, number one, you want to identify one area of your life where you've made consistent progress. What's one area where you have done better, where you've improved? Let's get that one. And what we want to do is we want to say, hey, where's a place where I'm coasting? Where this is so good now, it's not a big deal. It's kind of like when we exercise, right? After a while, it gets to the point where we're not really exerting ourselves. We're not sweating anymore. It's just the body's like, okay, we got this. Find that area and let's push it. Let's push it a little bit more. Write a next level goal. What's the next version of that success? What's the next version of that space? Like we've talked about exercising, talked about losing weight. My next goal is toning, body toning. Your next goal may be walking some efficiency, right? So now I can walk, I can get up and walking. Okay, now let me set some metrics. Let me set some metrics to this thing. Money, you can save now. Okay, let's start having some financial goals, some bigger financial goals. Job, training, thought process. I'm good here, but what can I do? What's the next version of this? And then you want to define one action you can take this week to stretch yourself. Right? This week, actually, I've been looking at some equipment, so we're gonna see. Right, we're gonna see what that looks like. So what are you gonna do this week to stretch yourself? What measurable step forward can you take? Something that excites you, something that challenges you, something that you can record, right? We're still doing SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Dare I say it? You know what I'm gonna say? Yep. One of my favorite, and this is one of my favorite because when you listen to me talk, right? When I introduce myself, when I talk on my show, when I conclude my show, I'm always saying next level. We're going to the next level. This level right now is great, and we've gotten here, but what do we do to the next level? So taking your success to the next level is not, right? It's not about doing more. It's about refining what you've done. It's about expanding your vision. It's about doing it better. So when you shift from maintenance to mastery, from goals to systems, and from self-focus to impact, man, that right there is amazing. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad that you're here. Remember, when you show up, you're saying yes. You're saying yes to your health. You're saying yes to becoming more successful, more resilient, more consistent, and yes to more self-confidence. Join me tomorrow as we move into another episode of my 100-day walk to consistency. We're going to be on day number 87, y'all. Can you believe it? Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level and create the life you've always wanted. Limitless living says that we're not allowing anything in our lives, nothing from outside, nothing from inside, to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful. We are showing up and we're presenting our best selves, our best health, and our best plans for our life. We're breaking free from those boundaries. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you on the walk.